matchup today.
Life's not that bad. All right, so let's catch everybody up with where we're at. And again, this is a whole bunch of talk. This is not your typical NBA free agent window, because normally by now, everyone would have tampered the F out of everything and 50 guys would have signed already, and we don't have that right now. NBA was cracking down on the tampering. It's very possible that teams are – they may know – people may know things. We may know where people are – they might know it. They just can't say it yet.
Now they can.
Huh? They can,
no?
but if you say it at 6:01, you obviously tampered. So there could be a little games. There could be a little gamesmanship going on here. Normally, this stuff would just come fast and furious with press releases and everything. So right now, we're in a bit of a holding pattern. What we do know is Gordon Hayward is free to sign elsewhere, should he so choose, starting now. And we don't know exactly what's going on here.
No, Goran Dragic just re-signed with the Heat, 2-year deal.
Yeah.
Stuff's coming in, stuff like that.
Couple things can happen right now. Gordon Hayward is free to sign wherever. The problem is it doesn't appear that New York and Atlanta are actually places that either want him or he wants to go. And so everything we're hearing right now is those teams are focused on other players not named Gordon Hayward. So we're going to have to see what happens there. And really right now it appears that everything is leaning towards the Pacers being we're dealing with right now. And we don't know exactly what that entails or if it can work, but we think that that's Gordon's preferred destination. And now there's reports from Gary Washburn that
G-Dub. Is he still in the bubble? Is Gary still in the bubble?
Yeah. G-Dub says it's on, and that the Pacers have offered Myles Turner and who?
Doug McDermott.
Dougie McBuckets?
What does he do? He plays basketball still?
Didn't he have the most
just Dougies, man?
Didn't he have the most threes or something in college history? Something like that.
College history.
I would imagine Dougie McBuckets is he a part of the contract matching in some way, shape, or form?
Yeah, so that's
which means what? Hayward's getting a truckload of money or something?
Apparently, what the Celtics want back in return, according to Wash, is Turner, Oladipo, and TJ Warren. So I mean, that's like
they
when
don't
you
want
get
all three. They don't want.
That's
all
like
three.
when you get one of those bad fantasy trades. You get mad at the person who sent it to you, so you counter by like asking for
Yeah.
Okay. I'll give you Sony Michel for Christian McCaffrey and DK Metcalf. You just get mad at them and you counter with something like that. That sounds like what the Celtics did here.
Sometimes I'll get so mad where I'll just reject it, and I'm so mad I don't even text them like how I'm mad. I don't even want to pretend that that offer never happened. That's like how I.
So Bobby, what are we seeing? What are we hearing right now?
Well, the interesting thing to me now is when you look at that report that they're trying to bring back multiple players here, it's key that the Celtics have 2 roster spots open now after the Enes Kanter trade today. You also get a player exception out of that, so you can bring back a little more salary from Indiana, $5 million more than you would normally be able to because of the player exception that the Celtics get back for Enes Kanter here. Also talk of Aaron Baines' interest in Boston as well, now that you have a big man spot open back there. We know the Jason Tatum connection there. We know Baines' game well here. So that makes all the sense in the world as this stuff starts to come together. So the Doug McDermott one would be interesting because he makes $10 million a year. He signed for 2 years, including this year. So he would be a salary that would project to go into another trade in the future, a medium salary guy who can also produce off your bench. He had a good season last year with Indiana, sharpshooter, offensive engine, a bench scorer, as we've talked about here. Mm-hmm. And then you look at Myles Turner, who's been rumored to the Celtics forever. That's your real center. I'll finally get to stop hearing about the real center. But this is what we talked about yesterday, John. The 3 sides of this negotiation. Jimmy as well.
Thank you.
The suitors are gone. New York is after Fred VanVleet. Atlanta has focused in on Bogdanovich. So thank the Bucks for their tampering situation here. The suitors are gone for Hayward. So does he get choked out here? and have to stay in Boston for a cheaper figure in the end. Who knows?
And again, guys, I got to leave you for 10 seconds. I'll be right back.
What do you think of that, Jimmy?
Wow. I hope John's okay. That was a quick exit. I'll say this. Woj went on the leader, and he said that Gordon Hayward's – it's still up in – the Gordon Hayward situation is still up in the air, and he's open. I think what he said was open to anything or open to –
He's just – does he even know it's free agency today?
Open-minded, yeah. Gordon Hayward is still pretty open-minded, which means I think he's still looking for, the best situation for him, obviously, right? I mean, it makes sense if Indy is his number one destination, right? I'm fairly certain his family moved there. It seemed like when he left the bubble, he went back. He went back to Indiana. He didn't go back to Boston to rehab. He went to Indiana. We know that as a fact, and we know his family was there. So now that's not the only indicator that that's where he wants to play, but I'm sure that situation would be great for him and his family, right? So it makes sense that he would be interested in a sign-and trade to that destination. Now, how badly do the Pacers want him? That we don't know, right? We don't know how much interest they have and what they're willing to part with. Now, we've heard Oladipo in return has been rumored in the past. Now, does that make sense for the Celtics? I mean, they're exchanging expiring contracts. They're exchanging oft-injured players as of late. Oladipo, strong defender when he's healthy, but
60 games in 2 years, though.
Right. That's the thing. I mean, are Celtics fans, going to be saying the same thing about Oladipo next season as they would with Gordon Hayward? I don't know. I mean, I'm sure physically, he'd have to pass those tests and everything like that. But when Oladipo was healthy, I mean, that guy was sweet. I mean, he was fun to watch. I enjoyed watching him play both ends of the court, and he can sing. So nice little bonus there. You got yourself a bit of a R&B artist on the side, which is nice.
Yep, he's on all music NBA team with Damian Lillard. For sure,
him and Lillard. Yeah, they could probably put together a nice little single. Lillard featuring Oladipo. Something to think about. So
it makes sense that the Celtics are going to try to go for the most here. The question is, guys, does Danny Ainge push too hard here? We know there's the criticism of him. He's trying to rob everybody. He's trying to hit a grand slam with this deal. Are you compromising just getting something for Hayward in this situation by dragging this out too long? We knew things were going to move fast here.
That's the problem, is if New York and Atlanta interest isn't real mutually, whether they don't really want him or the feeling is that Hayward doesn't want to go there as a preferred destination, and that ship sails quickly, the leverage swings back to the Celtics, but just a little, because they only have as much leverage as knowing that they now, don't have that competition of him just going out and getting the big money deal, but they can't hold him. They can't have him, I don't know. I mean, that's where they're at. Unless, what I don't understand is, do we think now Hayward finds the idea of returning to Boston something he absolutely doesn't want to do? Because that's what's not clear, is if Indiana's a preferred destination, does that mean the Celtics have decided they won't pay him? Therefore, his only path to a long-term deal is through a sign and trade? Or does he, what we don't know is his mindset, is he so done with Boston that he's like, get me somewhere else. That's your goal now. And that's it. I don't know.
What you keep hearing from chatter is that they just want to move on. That he just, the Boston experience. Yes, that he wants to move on. The Boston experience didn't go well overall. There's just been all this freak stuff that happened. So get a fresh start somewhere else.
Yeah, too many Raptors fans here.
Yeah. Well, Fred VanVleet, it appears, is the top guy on the market, judging from the interest so far, which I thought it was going to be Hayward. It's understandable why it's VanVleet, and it looks like that's what the Knicks cleared space for. Hayward does have other options out there. There's widespread interest in him that extends to Charlotte and Cleveland, two places he didn't particularly want to go. So there still are teams out there in terms of willingness to sign him that he could use as some leverage here. They're just not preferred destinations. I know the Cavaliers in particular really want him. So this could grind out past tonight for sure. There's a lot of layers here. Brian Windhorst was saying that the Pacers don't want to take on the salary outright. So does that make it easier to get Oladipo from them, given he's an expiring contract, given he's a $30 million player? The question there becomes, what do you give up if you're the Celtics to get to that salary? $60 million between two players. Are you trading Kemba Walker in that circumstance? Are you trading Marcus Smart? It's going to have to be one of those two guys.
And this is a really interesting free. Again, we said this at the top of the show. This isn't like your regular start to free agency where it's bang, 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 all the deals announced. I mean, Fred VanVleet, who's the top
feet. That guy could not shoot. He had feet for hands in the playoffs. But go on.
But if he's the top guy, which he appears to be, and the one who gets the most interest, he is the first domino that has to fall before any team starts giving money anywhere. And he's not even taking meetings until tomorrow. So that's interesting. Really? Is anybody thinking like, so I think, I mean, anybody now wondering whether they're going to go to bed, and Hayward's going to be somewhere else. That's not going to happen. I mean,
come on.
Okay, this will be the clip you play over and over again when he does sign somewhere, obviously, just stick it to dunk on me. But it looks like that's not happening. It looks like it's going to take a few days for the top guys to land different places. There's a few that are going to get their quick deals. And again, you've got a couple now. But Hayward, like I said, if VanVleet's not going to do anything till tomorrow, I don't think Hayward's going anywhere. I think everyone's going to see if they get their top choices first, and then start moving. Unless you're certain you're not getting it. If Hayward's like your third choice and you know you're going to strike out on your first two, then maybe.